Hello everyone, my name is Lili. Now I'm studying at Central China Normal University. It's my pleasure to present the evaluation of a collaborative reading annotation system through multimodal data analysis on behalf of my team. Next, I will present our research in the following 5 aspects. The epidemic brought the explosive growth of online learning platforms. For example, online collaborative reading system. To design such a system, interface layout and user acceptance are usually considered as essential factors. However, this type of single model data may not be enough to evaluate the usability interface interaction design. In contrast, a movement, EEG, and the skin conductance response can provide a new way to evaluate. This case study aimed to explore the influences of the interface of the collaborative reading system on learning. Multimodal data analysis with self-report questionnaire can provide a comprehensive evaluation. We recruited a total of 48 students to participate in the experiment. However, one participant's sample was excluded due to its eye movement sampling rate below 60%. The reported results are based on the remaining 47 participants. They were randomly assigned to the experiment group and the control group. We developed a collaborative reading system. The system's interfaces include login, course selection, learning task selection, and an annotated page The rainbow area enables participants to highlight what they think is essential, and the participants can make annotations associated with the highlighted text. We chose an article called The Lifetime of Fan Da from the Poetry Garden course at one of the universities in China class as reading material. Most students made at least one annotation on this platform while reading. 2 researchers coded these annotations generated by students in the course based on the ICAP framework. Then, we proposed constructive and active-level annotations based on the coding results. We discussed and designed 13 phrases as highlighted text and assigned each highlighted text 2 types of annotations. The experiments used in the study include eye tracker, EEG, and empathic E4. The procedures include pre-questionnaire, familiarity with the system, collaboration, experiment, post-questionnaire, and semi-structured interview. Based on the pre-experiment, we adjusted the content of the questionnaires and set 15 minutes for reading the experimental material. Knowledge and psychological test results are summarized in Table 1. There was a borderline significant difference in the open response questions of the post-test. Especially, the difference was sourced of the analysis of the post-experience, and the experimental group students scored significantly higher than the control group students. Participants self-reported their perceived learning in the post-test, and a significant difference between the 2 groups was found. The experimental group perceived significantly higher learning than the control group. Movement patterns can reveal the influences of interface layout on learning from a cognitive perspective. 34 behavioral patterns were obtained for the experimental group, and 33 behavioral patterns were obtained for the control group. We focused on the sequence patterns that reflect how students switch between the highlighting and annotation areas. The sequence patterns of annotation highlighting and highlighting annotation appeared 237 and 245 times in the experimental group, and 170 and 148 times in the control group. Sequences with a frequency of more than 50 were selected for the association rule analysis. Unlike the normal association rule, the order of occurrence of the elements in the sequence was considered here. The confidence level of the sequence annotation occurring was 40% in the experimental group and 21% in the control group. The confidence level of the sequence annotation was 2%, and the confidence level of the sequence non-annotation was 16% in the experimental group, but not in the control group. EEG data can reflect the participants' immersion and concentration while learning from their mental state. In this study, each participant's annotation was measured by the NeuroSky brainwave device. There was no significant difference between the experimental group and the control group. The non-significant difference could be that attention level was generally high in both groups during the experiment. That also shows that the differences in perceived learning are not caused by the degree of engagement. Skin conductance responses reflect the participants' excitement levels from emotional perception. There was no significant difference between the experimental group and the control group. In addition, the big standard deviation implied high individual differences. In this case study, we have the following findings. First, previous students' everyday usage of the collaborative learning system can generate valuable learning information for future students. Second, constructive-level peer annotations facilitate learning outcomes. Third, multimodal data can be used to comprehensively evaluate interface design. Fourth, the suggestions for improving the interface design from the participants. This case study aims to explore the influences of the interface of the collaborative reading system on learning. Multimodal data analysis with self-report questionnaire can provide a comprehensive evaluation. Constructive-level annotations prompt participants to allocate more attention to the annotation area and facilitate the shifting of vision between the annotation and reading areas to some extent. Furthermore, EEG analysis shows that participants stay high levels of concentration, no matter which condition they are at. From skin conductance responses analysis, although there is no significant difference at the level of excitement under different conditions of annotation, there is a great deal of individual difference within the same condition. That's all. Thanks for listening.